As far as Conor is concerned, there's two options in my opinion. It's you bring back Nate Diaz, or it's the winner of Charles Oliveira versus Max Holloway, because he's got a history with Max. The Oliveira fight, obviously people love Charles. It's a fresh matchup, and you could put a belt out at stake. You put a belt on the line. You give Conor a title fight when he comes back. Now Conor has 2 fights left. Will he want to fight for a belt? If he wants to play out the contract, that remains to be seen. But that's the perfect belt to have him fight for. Say he can win another belt, right? He won 145, he won 155. You either do the Max Holloway rematch, or you get a fresh matchup against Charles, or you do the Nate Diaz fight. If you're not going to do Chandler, which has always been my number one choice because of just the fact that they promised him and he had a contract and all that stuff, then those are your 2 options in my opinion. But yeah, Conor at the White House doesn't seem to be a thing. And the moment I found out that it's going to be hard to sell tickets, you hear them crying about the fact that we're going to be down 60 million, which by the way, I don't buy, because there's going to be commercials. Part of it's going to air on CBS. There are going to be commercials. You're going to make money off of it. There's going to be signups. They're not just throwing money in a bucket. And oh, by the way, fighting at the White House, the price of that is exponential. Like the PR that they're going to receive, yeah, it won't be money in the bank, so to speak, but there's different kinds of money that you can generate, and that's big time dollars. So when you hear them on the conference calls talking about this is a long-term play and we're 60 million in the hole, this, that, and the other, I'm like, yeah, not really. But when I found that they weren't going to be able to have sponsors on the mat or sell tickets, this, that, or the other, oh yeah, you can't have Conor fight on that card. Given the way they view these things. It's the same reason why they didn't want to have Conor fight during the pandemic. Couldn't sell tickets. Conor wanted to fight at the Apex. Conor wanted to fight whenever. I remember after Amanda Nunes fought Felicia Spencer, he was like, let me fucking fight. Let me fight. What are you doing? I'm going crazy here. And they waited. The first time he fought was the first time they were allowed to have fans back, or at least put themselves in a position to have fans back, which was the event in January of 21 in Abu Dhabi. That was the first time. That to me is the mystery, right? A, do they get him for that date? He's tweeting some stuff and then deleting. Do they get him for that date? And then B, who is it against? The Carlos Prates fight made no sense. No sense. Well, how does that make any sense for Conor? Why would he come back to fight Carlos Prates? To me, it's like I said earlier, and you guys didn't weigh in, so I'd like to get you to weigh in. It's you bring back Nate Diaz.
Yes.
Yeah. Or it's the winner of Holloway versus Charles, and it's for a belt. And I actually feel like that's the easier fight to make. They're already under contract. You don't have to do a deal with Diaz, and it's for a belt.
Yeah, but Diaz would be the one.
Diaz is the one.
International Fight Week,
Diaz
Conor versus Diaz 3 would be
You don't think
crazy.
Holloway BMF?
It's great. It's not Diaz. It's huge.
They're going to do Diaz McGregor somewhere else if they don't do it now. This feels like last chance saloon for them to make this fight, as far as I'm concerned.
It's the one.
Yeah, and it just also feels like, by that time, that'll be July of 2026. It'll be 5 years since we last saw Conor McGregor get into the octagon. We don't really know where he's at. And if Max Holloway is coming off of a win over Charles Oliveira, he's still at the peak of his game. I would rather see Nate Diaz, who actually has fought more recently than Conor McGregor, go for the trilogy storyline.
You don't think they'll be...
That's the one.
You don't think they'll be captivated by a belt on the line?
The BMF belt?
Yeah.
I think Conor McGregor fighting, it just doesn't matter.
I think he wants it.
I don't give a...
You don't think he wants it? Another one on the mantle?
I'm sure he does, but that Nate fight, I think that's the one the fans want.
I saw a tweet from John Kavanaugh talking about the BMF, and I actually agreed with him on this. I hadn't really given it much thought, but I actually agreed with what he said. What has bothered me about the BMF is the fact that it's 2 guys who lost to the actual champion fighting for the BMF belt. That makes no sense. Kavanaugh wrote 2 incredible warriors. Will be a great fight, but it's a little strange. Both will cut huge amount of weight to be the BMF. Why not leave it to open weight, which I know will be hard to do in this day and age, especially with the American athletic commissions. But he says UFC picked 2 guys with similar natural weights. In this case, both are, let's say 180-ish. They'll cut to 185, then back to 180-ish. Why not skip the weight cutting part and fight at 180-ish? It's not a bad shout.
So he's opening up the idea of you can get a welterweight fighting a lightweight, maybe even pushing in a featherweight.
It's weird to have BMF
division specific.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the
but
one.
But it's not division specific. It's just made up whenever you want, right? It was at it was at a different weight. Now they're like, all right, now it's going to be at this weight. It was at what was it, 70?
It was at 70.
And now it's at 55. It's like, it doesn't matter.
But they erased that one. That lineage stopped.
they killed that one.
They killed it, and they just like, let's plop it in here.
Yeah.
It would be interesting if it was available to everyone. That's besides the point. But when he said that honestly, and I didn't ask him, hand on heart, didn't ask him, but I was like, are they thinking about that belt? Like, why is John Kavanaugh tweeting about the BMF? And maybe I'm doing like 1 + 1 = 8. But I just thought like, oh, is that in their sights? Is that what they're thinking? Are they getting the winner of this one? I don't know. Thanks for watching this video. Before you go, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for us. Also, give us a thumbs up, leave a nice comment. These things go a long way. And while you're here, do check out the rest of the channel. We've got live shows and full interviews, clips, and a whole lot more. We're doing big things here, and we appreciate your support very much.